everybody, Troy here. I received a question on my YouTube channel to try to go ahead and explain the way that I use the TimeLine and the Strymon Mobius, how I set them up for worship set. I made a similar video about my reverb section a couple weeks back, I guess, that went through, how I approach reverb and specifically how I use the Big Sky and how I set that up in a worship set. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of try to do the same thing with the TimeLine, the Mobius, to give you guys an idea how I use this thing. Now, I think there's got to be a nearly infinite amount of ways you could set this up, depending on how much time you want to spend tweaking everything. But to start things off, I have a delay created and saved and named for every single song that we play. So 150, 200, whatever it is. And I have them saved in Dropbox, and I use the Strymon TimeLine library software to load every song up that we play each week. But it's not as simple as saying, slots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are going to be, the songs that we're playing. I have a handful of different ways that I go about doing this. And the set we played today actually goes through, is a really good example of all three of the ways that I set the TimeLine up. So we'll start off. We played Open Up Our Eyes by Elevation. We played One Thing Remains by Jesus Culture, Holy Spirit by Carrie Job, 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman, and Resurrecting by Elevation. So we'll start it off. The first song we did was Open Up Our Eyes by Elevation Worship, and it was just... So very simple. Not a lot to it. Second song we did was One Thing Remains, so we did something like that, and probably sounded something like this. Okay, so 2 delays, 2 patches. That's not how it always goes, though. This week was kind of different. So if I'm 100% sure that 2 songs back-to-back, I will not need any other delay settings on, I'll piggyback them next to each other in A and B. I won't have anything to worry about. So we'll move on now to Holy Spirit, which kind of explains or shows the way I typically set this up. So more often than not, I'm going to dedicate one bank, because the TimeLine has banks. Each bank has 2 delay settings that can be activated at any one time, but that cannot be ran simultaneously. So in Holy Spirit, because it's a song that I use a heavy dotted eighth note delay on, I want something that's more conducive to strumming, because I feel like dotted eighth note sometimes can fight our strums and kind of kick it back and forth, which I don't always want that galloping sound, I guess. So if I have a dotted eighth note in this one, so that one's going to be something like... So now I have that dotted eighth note delay, pretty standard stuff. And then in B, I'm going to set a quarter note delay to the same BPM, like 74, I guess. So I have that as opposed to... So let's say I just want to play big chords. Okay, so that's an example of how I'm going to set a dotted eighth note delay in one side, and then just a standard quarter. I have these just patches called quarter and eighth note delay set already that I can queue up when I load my songs up each week. I just have a quarter and an eighth. I'm just ready to go, and usually in that second slot every single time. Another really good one to show you how this works for the like an eighth note in A or a dotted eighth in A, I'm going to have a different flavor, a different tap division in B to kind of be on 2 opposite sides of the continuum as far as delay goes, so I can have different flavors. It depends. Like 10,000 Reasons is a great example because that song may stay down the whole time. So I may only use this delay I have called up here. Let me take that off really quick. So just straight up eighth note. pretty standard, right? But if that song does get big, and let's say we play the chorus like 2-3 more times at the end, I want something that's going to be more conducive to big strumming and to notes kind of just hanging out there. So I have a quarter note, 73 BPM, ready to go in B. So a lot different than this. Just ready to go. So I'm going to try to remember the chords of the song really quick, and that'll give us something like this. So then you hear the tails from that quarter note. So again, the reason why I do that is there's a song that I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to need just that one delay setting, that I'm going to dedicate the whole bank to that one song. And I'll have the predefined delay in A, and then I guess the complementary delay in B, something that's going to help me make the big part sound bigger or more conducive to strumming, because you do have those songs where you have that dotted eighth kind of galloping thing going, and you don't always want that. So I might have that quarter note or an eighth note delay set in B, something that will complement the one in A. Okay, so now moving on, one of the other songs we did today was Resurrecting by Elevation Worship, and this is an example of a song where I already have 2 delay settings, which is where the El Capistan comes in. So I'll get to that in just a sec. So first one for Resurrecting is an eighth note delay, 74 BPM. Sounds like that. So we have this. So I have that one. Then I have a dotted eighth note delay that I use for the verses, parts of the bridge, and then the instrumental. Gives me that longer tail. So that one sounds like this. And then that works on the instrumental like so. So that dotted eighth note delay is going to be a heck of a lot better for that big part to get those notes to hang than that eighth note right there, right? So that's why I have 2 for that song specifically. I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that I'm going to use those 2. But let's say we did something different, and the Holy Spirit kind of leads us somewhere else in that song, and I need a quarter note delay instead of that eighth. Instead of ruining the eighth note delay that I have in A, potentially compromising going back to the hook, I have the El Capistan ready to go. I can just tap to the drummer and then use this mix knob here with that big communications knob to adjust the mix. So it's like I've exhausted all my options in the timeline. I always have it set to quarter note, so then I can tap and get an eighth note if I need it. It gives me some pretty good flexibility there, having that ready to go. So again, in summary, if I am 100% sure that 2 back-to-back songs will only require 1 delay each, I'm going to piggyback them in the same bank and take them A and B. Secondly, if I have no certainty at all whether or not I'm going to need a complementing delay, so if I have dotted eighth in A for Holy Spirit, I'm going to throw a quarter more than likely in B. I'll use quarter most of the time because I can always tap it to eighth if I want to, just by speeding up the tap. But so dotted eighth and then a quarter. I'm going to throw something complementary in B. And then if I have a song that already has 2 delay settings, I'm going to put them in A and B, obviously, and then the El Capistan kind of serves as the little bit different flavor if I want to use it that way. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the Mobius, and this one I kind of set up like the Big Sky. So let me get down here and make sure. Yeah, okay, so this one's kind of set up like I set it up like the Big Sky, where I just had banks of 2, because banks of 2 on the Mobius, banks of 3 on the Big Sky, because the Mobius has a tap button. So if I'm playing with my brother-in-law, for example, we do a lot of stuff with trem. So I have just a basic trem setting, and then I have stutter trem ready to go. So I can play something maybe like this. Shameless plug here, Brick City Worship. Just started that up with my brother-in-law, Ian Kingsley, my brother-in-law, Bud Rednauer, Ian Kingsley on bass, Jordan Hassler on drums. Great bunch of guys, just excited to make worship music with these fellas. And there's actually a video for the song we wrote called Covers Us that's on our channel, so check it out. Anyways, back to the video. Okay, so the Mobius, bank one, I'm going to have just a normal trem setting and then what I call stutter trem. The bank that I go on most, however, is this, this one right here, where it has a regular trem setting, which I call regular, where the speed's not, too crazy. So this. So pretty basic. Then I have a vibrato for like Phil Wickham stuff. So if I can kind of sidebar on that for a sec, I'm a huge Taylor Johnson fan. If you watch some of my previous videos, I had a 6122 Junior Gretsch that I just looked around forever, man, because this guy just gets incredible tone and has an excellent, I think, approach to playing worship songs. Did get along with the Gretsch, so that's gone, but I still have a really big admiration for Taylor Johnson's playing style. So I found that vibrato, although it's a weird effect, it can be really, really, it can add a lot of flavor if you do it right and kind of play with the depth and stuff. So it's not, because it's a note altering, right? So it's not volume altering like a trem effect. It's actually going to alter the pitch. So if you get the depth going too crazy, it might sound a bit goofy. But if you kind of keep it a little bit subtle, you might find stuff like this, where, like in a bridge or something. Cool, but gives it that little bit of different, I guess, flavor with the vibrato. Almost makes it sound not like a guitar, which sometimes it's fun to make your guitar not sound like a guitar, so it's not always just this, raunchy, overdriven tone. You get something a bit different. So I have a like for vibrato now, thanks to him, basically, and I've been digging it a lot, so I've been trying to use it more. Now, the other bank, I'm going to hang out here most of the time. The other bank I have set up is just kind of combination. So I have a stutter trem and a vibrato, a regular trem, and then this effect, which I use on some Citizen songs, and then it's like a wah, but since I don't have a wah pedal, I have it just set to a certain BPM for like elevation. So something like that. And then the last one I have set up is my trusty vibrato and then a chorus setting. So. So I don't use chorus hardly ever. In fact, just recently when I did that doxology video for the new video for Phil Wickham's doxology song, I noticed there's some chorus on that part, and I kind of play with it here. So I don't use it a lot, but I'm definitely down for exploring that effect, because I never used vibrato prior to listening to Wickham either, and obviously I'm a big fan of his songs and stuff, so might use it a lot. But okay, so now we'll go back to the Mobius and kind of review. So I have fast trem, vibrato, which is my main, and then have combinations of each one kind of going through. So I don't use the Mobius a ton. Definitely doesn't get the use that the Big Sky and the TimeLine get, but I do find it extremely useful. And if I ever need anything, I just bank up or bank down, and I have it set before the song. I'm hardly ever banking up or banking down during a song in that, because it's extremely difficult, and I always end up kicking something else or whatever. So I just get it ready, make sure if I want a slow trem and a vibrato, I have that called up, or if I'm going to need a stutter trem or a vibrato, then I'll call that up prior to the song starting. Now the way I control these is I don't have anything MIDI'd except the TimeLine. So I have the small Disaster Area Designs controller for the TimeLine where it just banks through them. So I just press these to kind of go from patch to patch and then from bank to bank seamlessly without having to do too much. Other than that, that's really it. So that's how I set up TimeLine. That's how I set up Mobius for worship sets on the whole. Again, get that librarian software for the TimeLine and name your patches if you find that useful. That way you never have to remember, like, oh man, I had that cool delay setting for this song and I never saved it. Well, save it, and then you can put them in Dropbox, share them with your buddies, or then it also makes it easier each week to just import your delays into the TimeLine. It takes me like 5 minutes maybe to get everything set up. So hope that was useful for you. If you found that helpful, like the video, subscribe to the channel. GuitarforHISGLORY.com is the website that I keep putting stuff on. Trying to build it up, having a lot of fun making these videos and serving you guys, and I really hope they're helpful. I hope you're digging them. I'm having a lot of fun making them, that's for sure, when I get the time. So again, GuitarforHISGLORY.com, subscribe, like. God bless you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope it was helpful, and we'll see you next time.